You know what's awesome? Vampires. From Dracula to I Am Legend to Interview with a Vampire to Twilight, I guess? Vampires have captured the imagination of people the world over. There's just something about blood-sucking creatures of the night that excites the human mind. And IMO, the best piece of vampire media, is Hellsing Ultimate. It's just so stylish, and violent, and well-written, and violent, and it has great action scenes, and did I mention how violent it is? And today, we'll be playing as my favorite character from that show, a vampire-hunting, bayonet-wielding Catholic psychopath, Alexander Anderson. So let's ask the question, can you beat Skyrim as Alexander Anderson? I wake up, realize after 13 years that Ulfric's hands are bound in the front and therefore he can just rip off his gag and shout his way to freedom, get carded to my court-mandated haircut, and choose my race. Anderson is a tall, jacked, Hitler Youth-looking motherfucker. He's a Nord. I give him a haircut that looks fine enough, looks being the operative word, get placed on the chopping block, and inadvertently get freed by a 10-ton aerial lizard. I flee through the burning town, witness Hadvar trip on his own shoelaces, and pair up with Ralof because Talos is the one true god. Ralof cuts my binds. I sit idly in the corner while he kills the Imperial captain. I take her sword and disembowel her little helper, use my twin bayonets to slaughter my way past the rest of these filthy Protestants, and emerge into the outside world. I follow Ralof for a bit, go into third person, and realize I gave myself a ponytail. Great, now I have to pay $1,000 for a haircut. Alright, now that we're out of the intro, let's discuss what it means to beat Skyrim as Alexander Anderson. Anderson is a monster hunter for the Catholic Church, who uses twin bayonets to slice up vampires, Protestants, and heathens. So the way I see it, I need to kill every vampire and Imperial I can, using exclusively dual-wielded swords. He also wears a bitchin' white overcoat, which is not dissimilar to the white variant of the heavy Dawnguard armor, so that's the only chest armor I can wear. Simple enough? Alright, let's get to work. Normally I save the main quest for last, but in my infinite wisdom, I decided the best swords to use for this build are katanas, so I need to play up until a blade in the dark so I can get one. Why katanas, you might ask? Well, my logic was that much like Anderson's bayonets, the tip of a katana is not parallel with the hilt. Look, it made sense when I was playing this, alright? Anyway, I make my way to Bleak Falls Barrow, put some thieves to the sword, kill a big ass spider, and my interaction with Arvel goes a little something like this.
Ladies, welcome!
I then put some ghouls out of their misery, briefly forget that fire hurts, read some words someone scrawled on the bathroom wall, abuse the Draugr Overlord's wake-up animation to score an easy kill, and grab the Dragonstone. On the way to Whiterun, I show up the companions by killing their giant for them, inform a guard that dragons are a thing now, become friends with a filthy Protestant by lying to his face, and deliver the Dragonstone to a man who is about 40% sideburn. On cue, a dragon starts attacking the watchtower. My draft number gets called, so I'm shipped off to Fantasy Vietnam, get used to the chew toy, get better, politely wait for the dragon to land so I can poke it to death, drink its soul like a fine communion wine, inform Bulgriff that the bad dragon, look that up while at work, is dead, and he proceeds to tell me to go hang out with some priests in a secluded temple. Sounds like a bad idea to me, but I'll roll with it. I'm assigned a bodyguard who is sworn to carry my burdens, and I decide to have her tag along, as Anderson did have a pair of apprentices. This one is Yumiko, and you'll understand why later. I forget that horses are a thing, so I make the pilgrimage to High Hrothgar on foot like a pleb. I slice and dice my way up the mountain, and word of my monster-slaying prowess travels fast because when I arrive at the Frost Troll, the little bitch is too scared to face me like a man. I talk with the secluded old men who sit around all day and bitch about their wives. They teach me to scream at people I disagree with like a true baby boomer, and request I recover an ear trumpet because they forgot where they put their hearing aids. I arrive in Morthal, get one with a vampire, and drop everything until those undead fucks are put in the ground. I ask the Jarl what's up with the burned down house. She says that Hrothgar lost his wife and kid in that fire, and then immediately remarried on the spot. I investigate the house and discover that the murdered child's ghost is just us standing around, and agree to play hide and seek with her. I find her hiding in a coffin like some sort of dead person, slay a vampire that wanted to play with a little girl, not like that pervert, and get told that Laylette was the one that burned the house down. I find out from her boyfriend and/or husband and/or fucktoy that she was mortal enemies with Alva until she wasn't, and now even a dipshit like me can figure out that Alva is a vampire and ordered Hrothgar's house burned down. Unfortunately, I'm forced to acquire evidence before we start burning bitches at the stake, so I burst into Alva's house and read her journal, and discover that in addition to being the town slut, she's also working with a group of vampires to take over Morthal. I report this information to the Jarl, we form an angry mob, march over to the vampire lair, and everyone collectively remembers that they left the stove on and promptly fuck off. Alright, more vampire slaying for me. I start butchering some vamps, make my way to the big boss, and get my soul sucked out. I rise from the grave like Jesus and kill Movart by chopping his head off. No steps 2 through 10 necessary. I wake up an old woodman in the middle of the night, report my success, and get 40% of a haircut's worth of gold for my troubles. Now that distraction is over with, I get back to the quest at hand by walking about 30 feet north to Ocean Grab and start murdering some heretics. It's a good thing there's nothing in the Bible against killing, otherwise this whole enterprise would be silly. I euthanize some old people, channel the power of Usain Bolt to solve a puzzle, and discover that the horn has been stolen by, hold on, let me check my notes here. An asshole, and I have to go fetch it. I talk with a thief, she leads me down to her sex dungeon, I steal her katana, and agree to meet her in Kynes Grove in about a week, because right now I need to bust a ghost. I take a carriage ride over to Riften, respond to a shakedown request with, "No you," find a note nailed to a door, as a Catholic, Anderson finds this deeply offensive, and do my Christian duty of easing the suffering of the less fortunate. I then witness a ghost phase through a grate, follow her into a vault, murder her ghost husband, murder him a second time, murder him a few more times just for good measure, and then loot his magically recorporealized body for a second katana. Also there's a demon sword, but who gives a shit? Since I'm already down here, I get the world's most expensive haircut, give myself some stubble, don't worry, I realize my mistake in a minute, and return to High Hrothgar to stand in the winds of pain to raise my restoration skill, because I am chronically unable to find the entrance to Fort Dawnguard without the recruitment quest active, and that doesn't appear until level 10. I reach the fabled level, literally the first guard I talk to tells me about the Dawnguard, enter Dayspring Canyon, meet a man with facial hair that's way better than what I just gave myself, and talk with Black Kratos about joining the Iscariot. He tells me to go traipse around a crypt and tells me not to get tetanus. I enter the crypt. Lydia removes her face and starts T-posing for dominance. I purge some vile abominations from this earth, get tetanus, play the world's easiest sliding boulder puzzle, and discover Ceres Victoria chilling in a coffin. She convinces me not to murder her on the spot.
Brutally murdered.
And together we clear out the rest of the crypt and make our way to her father's castle. Upon arrival, Kirkland Brand Alucard seems more worried about his reading material than his daughter. He thanks me for returning the Elder Scroll, and also Serana I guess, and offers to turn me into a vampire. Pop quiz. How do I reply to his offer? Do I say no? God no. Hell no. Fuck no. Or yes? Well, joke's on you. I say, I don't want to become a vampire. I refuse your gift. I return to Fort Dawnguard with my tail between my legs, where some vampires are assaulting the fort. Yeah, turns out advertising for new recruits is a good way to reveal the location of your super secret clubhouse. I talk with Super Saiyan Izran, inform him that I done goofed, and he sends me out to recruit some people he knows, but not too many, lest we draw attention to ourselves. A little late for that one, Chief. First on the list is Gunmar the Troll Whisperer. I ask him to join up, and he responds with, 1. Izran's a jackass, and 2. He's not wearing quite enough dead animals and wants to kill a bear. I help Gunmar murder a family of bears, and he decides that Izran isn't that bad after all and joins up. Next up is Serene, I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that, and I finally decide that walking is for suckers and buy a horse. I find Serene, but she won't budge until she finds her pouch of Dwemer gyros. Apparently she lacks object permanence because her pouch is like 20 feet behind her. After putting my hand in her pouch, she seems very pleasured and agrees to join the Dawnguard. I return to the fort. My horse decides to go out for some cigarettes, and Izran decides fuck your retinas and then demands to see me in his office. Turns out Serana thinks her father's a bigger jackass than Izran and brought the Elder Scroll as a peace offering. She suggests finding a moth priest, which I'm pretty sure is just a slang term for a cock fiend. That was supposed to say coke fiend, but I like the typo better. I ask a carriage driver if he's seen anyone touching their nose and sniffling a lot, and after making a donation to feed his 6 kids he totally has, he points me towards Dragon's Bridge. I find the priest's carriage, and thankfully one of the kidnappers left a note that says, "I'm over here, please come kill me." I comply with their request, rescue the moth priest, and he returns with us and reads the scroll. It says there's a dope-ass weapon called Ariel's Bow, please purchase the 599 Prophecy expansion to continue. I finally buy some white Dawnguard armor. Now I almost sort of not really look like Alexander Anderson, and Sarah and I make for Castle Volkahar because she thinks her mother is hiding in the sewers. We knock around some boneheads guarding the entrance, disembowel a childless dog lady who lives in the sewers, and discover a moon dial, the second most useless invention ever, behind only NFTs. I repair the dial, descend the hidden staircase, interrupt the secret council that decides how much your McDonald's costs, murder Keith David, discover Sir Osmond's evil science laboratory, and open a portal to Super Hell. I try entering Super Hell, but the portal starts eating my skin. Serana explains that living beings can't go to Super Hell on account of being alive and shit. She partially soul traps me to get around the whole eating my skin thing, and we descend the evil staircase to the Soul Karen. We find Serana's mother. She gives me the side-eye over the whole dedicating my life to destroying vampires thing, and explains that using Ariel's bow with Serana's blood would end the tyranny of the sun. Or in other words,
our arrows will blot out the sun.
Serana takes her mom to task for locking her in a room for thousands of years, and Valerica agrees to give us the Elder Scroll just as soon as we spring her from jail. To that end, I beat up the prison guards, take their lunch money, and go to retrieve the scroll when the warden shows up and summons the SWAT team. Skeletons don't pose a threat at level 1, and at level 13 they pretty much disintegrate just by looking at them. Once I clean up Durnavir's goon squad, he decides that flying is for the birds, lands, and presents his neck for slitting. We recovered the Elder Scroll, exit the fortress, and Durnavir rises from the grave and requests I take him for a walk. Helsing might be comfortable employing a domesticated monster, but Section 13 don't stand for that shit, so I blow him off, recover my soul, and get the fuck out of Dodge. That's 2 scrolls down, 1 to go. I take a cart to Winterhold, and unlike my father, my horse comes back from getting cigarettes. As a reward for only abandoning me a little bit, I take her for a swim in blood-freezing waters before talking with a deranged homeless man about where I can find some magic toilet paper. He gives me some geometry-shaped keys and tells me to go to hell. Well, I know what that means, so I move away to Alfton and start trudging through it, because I can't get the plate glitch to work to save my fucking life. I don't use any patch mods, by the way, so I don't know what's going on. I kill a Protestant and his girlfriend, descend into a urine-soaked hellhole.
We object to the term urine-soaked hellhole when you could have said pee-pee-soaked heckhole.
Cheerfully withdrawn.
Press the big glowing give me the goddamn scroll buttons, and acquire the 3rd scroll. We return to Fort Dawnguard, only to discover that Dexon sat too close to the TV and has gone blind. He tells us not to worry, as by huffing moth dust, we too can comprehend the word of God. So we go to the nearest opium den, strip a tree naked, frolic with some fake butterflies, overcome my basic instinct as a man and read the goddamn manual, and find out where Ariel's bow is. I teleport to Dragon's Bridge, where a courier gives me an invitation to a party. A host I've never heard of says they want to have me for dinner, and who am I to turn down free food? So I show up, sit down, read a note, and find out that the most dangerous game is man, or wait, no, Soylent Green is people, or yeah, fuck it, you know what I mean. It's the setup and we're the food. I die an excruciating amount of times here, because Sarah and I have to deal with a pair of gargoyles and a vampire butler with more hit points than God. I eventually overcome this predicament by hiding behind Serana while she whittles away at Walter until she goes down, and then hide behind an undercover Dawnguard agent until he goes down, repeat ad nauseum. I finally get back to the task at hand and enter Darkfall Cave. A bridge collapses beneath my feet, I fall into the dark waters below, and make it to the end of the cave, where I somehow find someone paler than me. He says he's a snow elf and that he can get me Ariel's bow, but I have to kill his brother first. Well, I've always wanted to kill a pagan, so I hardly agree and get shipped off to my second purple shithole of the day. I start bloodying my blades, but at this point in the run I've grown tired of Skyrim's spongy combat, so I say fuck it and just gun it to the end of the cave. I fill my sacred pitcher with dirty cave water, step through the next area, and weep because I suddenly remember how tedious this next section is. This place right here, the Forgotten Vale? Yeah, fuck this place. I've never agreed with the criticism that Bethesda RPGs are walking simulators, but the Forgotten Vale gives some credence to that argument because holy shit is this place big and boring. I genuinely have no jokes, because nothing fucking happens here. You just walk, kill shit, walk some more, fill your pitcher, repeat. Eventually I fill up my pitcher, pour it out for the homies who ain't here no more, and enter what might be my favorite location in the game. I love the frozen temple aesthetic, especially the frozen Falmor worshipping at the shrine. Anyway, we find the Arch-Curate, he goes, haha, you've activated my trap card, and thaws out some Falmor. I shatter them with my swords, do the same to his Frost Astronaut, he throws a hissy fit and raises the roof, he explains that he created the Tyranny of the Sun prophecy to give the middle finger to Ariel, Sarah shows off her incredible arm strength, and we kill this loser in 10 seconds flat. Gelibor shows back up to give me the bow, and now all that's left is storming Castle Volkihar. We return to Fort Dawnguard, Isran gives a rousing speech, and we butcher our way through Harkin's crib, a thing I feel like we could have done at almost any point before this. The rest of the Dawnguard decide that Harkin is scary as shit, so Sarah and I face him alone, and honestly, this fight isn't that hard. I can't use Ariel's bow to break his blood shield while he regenerates, but he only does that a couple times, so while the fight goes on longer than I'd like, Harkon himself is kind of a bitch. He's just a big sack of hit points that floats around the room. Anyway, reduce him to ass, Isran decides not to be a dick for once, and we're done with Dawnguard. Only 2 notable sources of vampirism left in Skyrim, and one of them is standing right next to me. I tell Sarah to cure her vampirism or get burned at the stake. She reluctantly agrees, and while she's out of my hair, I take care of the other one by clearing out a local crack house. I return to Whiterun to re-recruit Lydia, but I guess she got diced up by some piano wire because she's just not fucking here. Sworn to carry my burdens my ass. I return to Fort Dawnguard and find that Serana is no longer a vile creature of the night. I re-recruit her and make for Kynesgrove, where Delphine has somehow not died of old age. Alduin does that voodoo that he do, I kill his new friend before he gets his skin back, and Delphine explains what the fuck is going on. I meet her back in Riverwood, she tells me it's party time, I give all my worldly possession to a short king, and I'm shipped up to the Thalmor embassy. I give some blood of Christ to a sober reprobate. He distracts the crowd with an unabridged reading of War and Peace, I get my ship back and start cutting down some heretics. After preparing a feast for the local vultures, I discover that the Thalmor don't know shit except for the shit that they do know. So I spring a prisoner, save my pet elf, and return to Delphine. She sends me to find a homeless man chilling in the sewers, so I return to Ripton, get a haircut to fix my facial hair, butcher some more Thalmor, find the fabled crackhead, smuggle him out of the sewers, and reunite him with Delphine. We adjourn to the basement. Esbern has read ahead the script and knows we need to go to Olivin's Wall, so that's where we're off to. We arrive in Karthspire, massacre a bunch of tribals just trying to survive in their native lands, solve some puzzles that in any other game would be the easiest puzzles in the game, embrace my inner emo kid, and get a history lecture about the health benefits of screaming. I return to High Hrothgar, a bunch of old men teach me how to yell at clouds, and I meet Parthenax. The worthless piece of shit says he can't 2P Dragonrend, but I can use an Elder Scroll to view some old CCTV footage and learn it that way. So I read the Elder Scroll without a flock of moths following me and not going blind. Good job, Bethesda. Learn a new slur. Witness the heroes of old turn Alduin into my problem. Alduin shows up, and I waste no time beating his ass. I briefly forget that the fire-spitting end of a dragon is dangerous, but after I regain my senses, I give him to say uncle, he flies away with his tail between his legs, and this is normally the part where I get a peace council together, but given the character I'm playing as, I think it's time for a reconquista. Now I know what you're thinking. Mr. Monotone, I know season unending makes the roof of your mouth itchy, but are you really about to commit to 2 hours of the worst questline in the game to avoid a 10-minute shouting match? To which I would respond, yes. Yes I am. Fuck season unending. That being said, this questline is mostly combat, so let's rattle off what happens real quick. You know the drill. Kill an ice wraith, take an oath, kill some legionaries, retrieve a crown, relinquish the crown, receive an axe, deliver the axe, get spit on, return the axe, rousing speech, kill some guards, beat up a jarl, take over a fort, blackmail Stewart, kill a caravan, take over a fort, kill a courier, deliver some fake documents, take over a fort, rousing speech, kill Doc Mitchell, victory speech. You know, the Civil War may be the worst questline in the game, but at least you do stuff in it, unlike season unending. Now that that shit's over with, I get Odoving's name from Parthenax. Jarl Vignar knows about my plan to capture a dragon despite me never telling him about it. I tell Odoving to suck my dick. He kills a guard for my insolence. We trap him in the world's biggest mousetrap. I ask him for a ride to the end of the game. He replies, fuck you, free me. I comply, and we fly to Skuldolphin. Every time I've done one of these challenges, by the time I reach the final trio of quests, I'm completely sick of Skyrim's combat system and just book it to Sovngarde, and this playthrough is no different. I do make sure to do a sick cannonball when I enter the portal though. I tell Alduin's Fog to fuck off, beat the shit out of Hercules' bigger cousin, who is also named Hercules, and find the heroes of old. We use our collective old mana energy to yell away all the clouds in heaven. Alduin shows up to tell us to shut the fuck up. We show that Whippersnapper what for, and prove yes, you can beat Skyrim as Alexander Anderson. Well, that was fun, except for the parts that weren't. I'm always a fan of glass cannon builds, and dual-wielding characters scratched that itch. Also, watch Hellsing Ultimate. I think it's on Crunchyroll, and it's also on Blu-ray if you're into physical media like I am. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Mr. Monotone96, and I'll see y'all later.